What's up, guys? I'm Paul DiRienzo.
I'm Ryan Morency.
And we are here to talk about our first major project that kind of started this all off.
Yeah.
So, as you guys know, I run the Metro West Academy of Jiu-Jitsu here in Natick, Massachusetts, and I am not a tech programmer, nor have I ever wanted to be or pretended to be or had any interest in being. 19 years ago, I went to friends that I know sat in front of computers a lot of times. Thank you, Sensei Dennis O'Connell, one of my best friends. And I was like, dude, I'm opening a business. I need a website. Help. And Dennis did some magic wizardry on his computer. A friend made a logo, and another black belt made a logo.
Yeah, right.
See, what in doubt, go to black belts.
That's right.
And we had a website, and it was probably horrible because we had to use stock photography.
Yeah.
I think I don't remember what the original website looked like because it was almost 2 decades ago, and I get hit in the head a lot. So, fast forward to I had a ex-wife who did social media managing stuff like that, and her friend paired up, and I was their first client, so to speak. I think it cost me more than the average client, but that's a whole other conversation. And if you're watching this, it's a joke. Relax. And left me with the ability to at least I can change photos on the website. Yeah. Like I feel like that's a bit. I changed our schedule recently, and I was like patting myself on the back. Wow, I did that. I'm awesome.
Wins.
Celebrate the wins. And it's now 2026, and I'm looking at our website, and it's just feeling a little dusty. It's not bad. It's a static billboard. You know, like you drive by. Fortunately, we have a location here. Just a physical background for those who aren't in Natick, Massachusetts. We have a road behind us called Route 9, and the rough estimate is like 50,000 cars a day go by our front door. So I don't really pay for marketing anymore. I haven't since we moved here, and our website was like just good enough. But I started looking around, and I watch the YouTubes, and I hear about all the AI automation stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm behind. And I was just watching an Alex Hormozi video, and he goes, if you feel like you're behind on AI, congratulations, we're all behind on AI. Yeah. And that includes like, the really tech savvy because it's developing so fast. You couldn't possibly be on top of it all at the same time.
Every week.
So I start talking to Ryan. Hey, I know changing photos on a website, not that bad. Changing background, I'm sure is, wizard people can do that really easy. I was thinking about like a bot, like an AI bot. Wouldn't that be really cool? And
Sensei
Ryan,
bot.
a Sensei bot, yeah. And Ryan basically was like, slow down. Let's look at what exists.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and ultimately, we talked about this in our first video, right? But like, should you versus could you, right? Could you implement AI and use it for a bunch of things? Yes, you absolutely could, right? Could we build Sensei Bot to do all the things? We could,
will,
right?
not could, we will. That is happening.
Yeah. Sensei Bot's a thing.
I'm going to vibe code some shit. I don't know. Whatever that means.
Sensei Paul learned some words today. But it's important to also recognize that not everything needs to be AI. It is a buzzword right now. It's super, super important, and it's evolving the way we do business on a day-to-day. But do you really need that, right? And so,
do you want to pay the bill for it?
And that too, right? Where it's new technology, it's expensive technology, it's getting cheaper every day. But if you're in the know with AI, every time you use it, it uses dollars, right? And a lot of people right now are running up against that limit by implementing AI in unintelligent ways or inefficient ways, and you can rack up a bill very, very quickly. So, when we started talking about this project and we're thinking, should we versus could we, and then we started looking around at other things in the space. And
right.
You already had, one of my big things with a small business of just about any size is some sort of CRM or client relationship management, right? How do you track who you've talked to, the new leads that could potentially come in? Because ultimately, sales, and in this case, getting bodies in the door and taking classes pays those bills. Ultimately, and again, we chatted about this in the first video, there's a lot of times where as a small business owner and solopreneur in this case, it's 8 o'clock at night. Do you pick up the phone when that lead calls in, or do you let it go? And in this case, right, how do you put things in place to not let those slip through the cracks, right? Thinking about changing the website and putting automation in place, it's not just to make things look pretty, it's also to capture those missed dollars for your business, right. And in turn, reduce the overhead of work that needs to be done by the business owner.
So we have an industry CRM that's called Spark.
Yeah.
And it's a fairly robust engine with regards to the automation options inside it. And we signed up with them 8 years ago now.
Yeah.
We set a couple of those automations in place and we let them go. And the automations were largely to our existing clientele. Case in point, right? So if Ryan called up and booked a trial class, we had one automation that as soon as they booked a class, an email went out with confirmation of it and the link to the waiver, which no one fills out. And then the day before, a text, look at us, we're sending text messages automatically. That was like, hey, can't wait to see you tomorrow. Here's that link to the waiver you're not going to fill out until you come in the front door. So I started thinking like, well, there has to be more automation. So I went into the group and I was looking at what other automations out there, and people were like, oh, I nerded out on this, and I set all these up, and I nerded on that. But 50 of them were like, I just signed up for this company's higher tier option, right, which not only sets up all these automations for you in a done-for-you fashion. There can be a conversation about them feeling like, I hate standardized stuff. We were talking the other day about like stock photography. Yeah. Makes me itchy. It just makes me unhappy. So like some of the language to me doesn't feel great, but I'm not my customer. So for small business owners, that's always an important reminder. Yeah. You are the first person in the door at the end of the night. You're always going to be the last one out at the end of the night. And you're going to be the beginning of the business and the end of the business, but you are also not your customer, and you are probably too far behind the lines to see. So when I started asking Ryan, I was like, well, you're the customer more than I am. How would you feel about this? I did it because I genuinely can't see anymore.
Right.
I can't. Yeah. I'm too far behind the lines to know.
Too close to it.
Too close to it. And the stuff that at this point of 30 years of doing martial arts that I think is cool terrifies other people.
Yeah.
Legit, like we got these pictures of these crazy, ridiculous throws because jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And people are like, I'm not bringing my kid there. What's wrong with you? I'm like, but it looks so cool. Look how cool it is. Really it's so cool. Right. So we've had that issue over the years. So we started digging into that which exists.
Yeah.
And is it useful, and is it cost effective?
Right.
Because what they have has a recurring ongoing cost, $200 forever, as long as you use their service.
Yeah. Per month.
Per month, yeah, $200 per month forever, so $24 a year. I was like, that's $10,000 every 5 years. Ryan goes, that seems cheap. I was like, really? That seems expensive because I don't pay anything for my website now. And I'm already technically paying for the engine that has the automations.
Right.
Again, business owner mindset, right? I'm like, that's just $10,000. I don't go home with that at the end of the day, or the government doesn't tax me on. I don't know, whatever. Yeah. So what do we use from the industry that exists, and then figure out? And will be a future video. Hey, turned out we liked the system. We didn't like their take on it.
Yeah.
Do we go back and redo it ourselves? So
yeah, and it's important too, right? Like this is a pretty specific industry, martial arts in general. There's not a lot of custom-built CRMs or platforms made for the martial arts industry. And now that I've been a student here, and Paul and I are friends, and so we've talked a lot about the infrastructure in place for a martial arts place. And it's very different than a lot of other industries. I've helped sculpture companies and real estate companies, and their CRM looks very different than what a CRM for this place looks like, right? So when you're thinking about, should you build something new, what is out there that already does all the things that you need it to do? And even, talking about all those automations that we've had in place 6-8 years ago, where it automatically texts somebody when they book an appointment, that stuff doesn't need AI. It's just a programmed, script. When text this happens, do this. And when this happens, or they say this, do this. It doesn't need to be AI, but it still removes the human component of needing to get in and push the button every single time. So looking at what exists in the industry and then comparing it to what it would be to build out something from scratch. And in this case, it made sense, right? This is actually even a bolt-on service to his existing CRM. So it makes even more sense, because now you're not starting from scratch with the CRM and then doing automation. We decided it made more sense to see what was already being done out there with the industry leading software. And then from there, evaluate it and look at it, change the language, and potentially, look at what we want to keep and what we want to get rid of, what we might want to redo in the future. And for a business owner, time to implement is a big thing. If we had to spend a year building out something for ourselves, could we build a website? Yes. Can I put AI in place to have a little Sensei bot on the website, which is coming for sure? But, right, like how long does that take, and how important is it that you start capturing leads today? So sometimes it may, and we talk about this with mentorships all the time too, right? Yep. Like, do you want to spend 2 years learning how to bake falafel? Does falafel even bake? I don't know. Anyway, make falafel. Or do you want to pay a mentor $5,000 and they will teach you everything you know how to make falafel in 3 weeks, right? It makes more sense, especially as a business owner, you're constantly thinking, what's my time worth? And how much time is it going to take me to get there? And then it's just a dollars and cents equation, right?
I personally have a theory that I don't think you become a small business owner unless you enjoy problem solving. We've talked in previous videos about how like most small business owners kind of just want to do their thing. Like I just really want to, if I could just teach jiu-jitsu. But the truth is, and people in my life are like, you need a problem to chew on, you need a project, you need things. So when things are going like too smooth, I start looking around. That's how I ended up working on my master's degree, despite not going into that career or field. I was like, I just want to learn more. So for me, it was a new project to chew on, which is cool. And now it's this, and
which is a problem by itself.
Which is
or project,
yeah. But we keep talking about the trade-off between done for you and DIY, right? Or screw it, I'm just going to learn how to do it afresh. And what's the time is the biggest thing on that. Yeah, you can definitely talk cost, and trading money for time is literally what life is these days. Sure. And we can talk a little bit about like the bot cost that we were researching earlier. Oh. Holy moly. So like, where do I want to put my time and my effort? If I enjoy working, which I do, and I enjoy problem solving, which I do, what are the problems that Steve Jobs' whole thing, right, about the signal versus the noise? The 10% or 20% of your life that is the signal, this is the thing that actually moves forward your projects. The other 80 to 90% of the time that you spend is the noise, and your job is to shrink the noise as much as you can and grow the signal in order to be able to move forward with your projects, your job, your career, your business, whatever the thing is, your investment in other people. Where do I put my focus? Where do I put my energy? Resources, you can always make more money, and that just takes more time. How do I balance that off with getting to my ultimate effective goal?
Yeah, and it's a balancing act, right? Like, what else is on your plate? How much do you have to do? Who do you have in your circle that can help you do things too, right? That's another factor, right? Business owners love doing stuff themselves and solving problems themselves, and sometimes that might take you down a path that's very expensive. And to go back to the bots that we were talking about, right? Like, and we were looking at some AI voice agents to answer the phone and have preliminary conversations. We still, in this industry, it's a very human touch business, right? When they come in the door, they want that human touch. And we're not looking to remove that. What we're looking to do is after hours, when it's 8 o'clock on a Sunday, we want that person to get some sort of connection, right? And so we started looking at AI voice agents as a potential option. And I don't remember what the actual
Hold on. You're jumping into AI voice agents. That's not what I even searched.
Oh, right, that was a chat bot.
I'm gonna give you, hold on. I'm gonna give you guys the exact Google search so you can do this yourself, right? Because I don't want to get claimed that I'm arguing I'm BSing, right? Ballpark cost for a robust AI chat bot on a website. Okay, so dumb martial art instructor here. I was like, well, a couple bucks a month. How much could that be? So we're gonna put the per month aside for a second. To build, the estimates on Google, guys, Google it, $20,000 to $150,000 for a one-time custom build. Now, I know somebody out there is very tech savvy, being like, I can do that in a weekend. Right. Dude, congrats. I can choke you out, right? And I don't need a weekend to do it. And I can teach you how to choke somebody out in less than 10 minutes. I don't need a weekend to do it. That's my skill set, right? We do multiple opponent engagements, 3 people attacking you at the same time. Trust me, I can't teach you that in a weekend, and you can't learn that in a weekend. Nope. You've touched that a little bit. It sucks.
It's hard.
It's hard. It's an incredibly hard problem. To me, this is that level of problem, right? Then the recurring cost range, again, Google, all bold, $800 to $5,000 a month. not a year, a month. Right.
And again, that's a chat bot. That's on your web, like
not a voice.
Yeah, most people are familiar with the chat bots. They're just a text in, text out. It sits in the bottom corner of the website, and this is an actual AI version of that that'll have an ongoing conversation with somebody on your website, and it costs that much to set up.
No, it's funny. When I started this project, I just upgraded the website. I went looking around, and I found a couple of martial arts schools that had chatbots on them, and I thought they were. I was like, dude, look at this AI bot. And Ryan goes, no. What do you, a text tree or something like that?
Yeah, it's a
right?
decision tree, right?
Yeah. It's not complex in terms of, well, again, for me, I was like, oh, it's pretty fancy. Ryan was like, yeah, no. I was impressed by the fact that it led me down the path to, hey, here's where you sign up for a class, and you could do that online. And that was the thing that I wanted to do for people who it's 2026. No one wants to call anymore, right? The amount of trial requests, emails, if I get a trial request and it comes into our system, what I do right now, just inside baseball, I try calling because I think human touch. Yep. No one picks up their phone. No one. Most of what I get now is actually those AI responders.
Oh, yeah.
That it's like, please tell me your name and why you're calling. And I'll see if Joe Blow is available. And of course, Joe Blow is never available.
Never.
So I leave a voicemail, at which point I then, because I'm fancy, send an email and a text. And I say in the email and text, I know sometimes this is easier, feel free to respond, call, text, email. It's probably now 45, 10. 45% of the time they call back, 45% of the time they text back, and 10% of the time they email back. That's a lie. It's 2% of the time they email back. So it's about 50-50 in terms of call or email. Call or text message.
Yeah.
But if I know if, a lot of people, they don't, I have families that have been here in this where we teach American Jiu-Jitsu. They still call it karate because they grew up watching Daniel-san. They're my age, that Daniel-san was karate.
Don't diss on Cobra Kai.
Well, if they were older, it was Kung Fu, and if it was younger, they were Ninja, because Ninja Turtles, right? We can track what people call martial arts based upon the media that they grew up watching.
Yep.
If you have gray in your face or hair, it was Daniel-san, right? It was Karate Kid. And now Cobra Kai, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's fine. I don't need them to call it jiu-jitsu. It doesn't hurt my ego or my soul, and if it does for you, then that's your problem. But I know that a lot of people just want to book the class. They just want to get their kid here or themselves, get on the mat, give it a try, see what it's all about. 1 out of 25, 30 want to have an in-depth conversation about lineage and purpose and goal and blah, blah, blah. Most people want to get it booked, get off the phone, and get about their day. And that hurt me. Because I was like, I want to tell them all about my things.
Don't you want to learn
I'm excited about jiu-jitsu and all the stuff. And I realized no, they've got a million things going on. They just want to get this booked and go on to the next thing in their day. Yeah. And once they get here, then we can have an in-depth conversation, okay? I guess the GoPro is
GoPro's done, I guess.
All right, so that's okay. Main camera's right here. So for me, like I said, I'm not my customer, and I'm sometimes not great about that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, people in this day and age, they're unfortunately about efficiency. They don't care about the human touch anymore because.
Thanks, Amazon. I blame you.
Well, I was gonna say social media.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean,
100%.
how
100%.
detached are we from everybody else around us, right? So while we would like to maintain that human interaction because we have gray in our beard and we grew up on that type of thing, not everybody's like that. And your clients are, you might be an older generation business owner and you want that human interaction.
Or older mindset.
Or older mindset. We know plenty of people that are young with older mindsets and don't want to change and stuff, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, you've got to do what your clients want, right? If your client wants a text message and they want to build and most people these days, they search for jiu-jitsu and they start at the top and they work their way down. And if you're not the person they talk to first, they're moving to the next one in line.
Correct.
And the first person that answers is probably the first person that gets them in the door and gets their dollars. They're the ones that are going to sign up. Once we get them in the door here, they're sold. This is awesome.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm biased, but this place is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome.
Jiu-jitsu's fun. Throwing people's fun.
Yes. Unless you're the one getting thrown, and then it hurts a lot. I still have wounds.
So, 30 years, I got you beat.
That's true.
Two things for me. Where we are today is we are working with this CRM and their existing software we saw the basic template of the website. We had our chat the other day. Some things we disliked, some things were cool. Those modifications are going on, and the website will be live as soon as we find pictures, because
that's
stock
what's holding it up.
A no.
But it's also important to state too, right? From the time where we started this journey and we made the decision to go with this package, we've only been doing it for maybe
It's like 2 weeks.
2 weeks, and it's probably been 3 one-hour meetings to get this pretty close to up and running. We've got maybe one more meeting and some photo finding to do before it's implemented, right? So when you think about time to implement,
I have not put that much time into it.
No,
not really.
And I haven't either.
Right, and it's hard to the business owner thing, right? Like, these guys have done hundreds of these.
Yeah, right.
They have hundreds that they are managing and going on with, which means they have a system in place and they have a team that does it. And can I figure that out over time? Yeah. Could I figure it out with Ryan over time in a much lesser period of time? Oh my God, yes. Like a year for me, a week and a half for him. Sure. These guys are doing it in like 5 hours because that's all they do.
Yeah,
that's all they do.
Exactly.
Short story for me, which is a reminder that I deal with. One of my friends trained black belt with us, trained black belt in another style of jiu-jitsu, almost a black belt in judo, goes down to move to New Jersey and goes searching for a martial arts school. This actually happened. His name is John. And he finds a one-page website with the history of Aikido and a thing at the bottom that said classes at blah address. He walks up and down the street trying to find the place, can't find it, walks down a short flight of stairs to eventually realize it's like in a basement with a postcard, like a business card on the door that said blah, blah, blah Aikido. Goes inside to what actually turned out to be like a nice, small, but like a very nicely appointed place. The instructor ignores him. Finishes teaching the class, eventually comes over and says hi. They have a wonderful conversation. At the end, my friend goes, schedule doesn't really work out today, but I like what you're doing here. Can I ask you a question? Like, you're really not making it easy for people to find you. And the guy said, and the guy, by the way, who was a younger person, like, my friend, I think, was about 35 when he went to this, and he said the guy was younger than him. Oh. So an old mindset, not an old person, an old mindset, said, yes, I want my students to seek me out. Now, if you're in the martial arts, you've met these people. Here's the prologue. 6 months later, John's schedule changed, and he went back to find the place or to go sign up, and they had closed because they didn't have enough students to pay their rent. So it's great to have your rules and traditions and boundaries and all that kind of stuff, but understand, people are, and the story goes back like almost 20 years. People are inundated with information. They are swarmed with options for their very limited time, and that includes their kids, right, who have 85 sports every season. Your job is to stay on top of where people are today. Not where they were or not where you want them to be. So for the service-based business owners, you got to get to where your people are, not where you want them to be or where they should be.
Yeah. I mean, that's ultimately getting people in the door is how you run your business. And if you're not catering to your potential clientele or customers or clients or whatever you want to call them, then you're going to close.
Right.
At the end of the day, like, there are other people out there that are willing to change and willing to cater, and it's necessary.
So that's it for this video.
Yep.
Now we are working on another project for another service-based industry. That's kind of our bread and butter.
Yeah.
And next video will be talking about, we'll probably leave out names for the moment.
Yeah.
But we can definitely talk about industry and scope and give some pretty specific examples without adding any names in because we haven't gotten permission and it's an ongoing project. So
yeah, we'll get into the details of that when we can talk about it a little bit more.
Exactly. Yeah. So thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
See you guys soon.
See ya.